IBM's involvement in the Holocaust centered on its provision of holograph punch card machines, tabulators, and technical support to Nazi government agencies, including the statistical offices that organized census data, tracked populations, and managed rail logistics systems. These machines did not operate independently. They required custom punch card formats, ongoing maintenance, and IBM's German subsidiary, 𝗬𝗏𝗱𝗏, to supply both. Historians such as Edwin Black have argued that this technology significantly increased the speed and precision with which the Nazis identified, classified, and deported Jews and other targeted groups, enabling a scale of bureaucratic efficiency that would have been far harder to achieve using manual methods alone. While the Holocaust was driven by ideology and state machinery rather than by any one corporation, IBM's data processing systems formed part of the administrative infrastructure that made the genocide more systematically organized and logistically efficient. The tattooing system used in Nazi concentration camps, most notably at Auschwitz, was introduced by the SS as a practical response to the chaos created by overcrowding, death rates, and the frequent destruction or loss of paper records. Beginning in 1941 to 1942, prisoners were forcibly marked with a serial number tattooed on the forearm or on the chest in early phases for Soviet POWs. These numbers served as an immediate, durable method of identification inside the camp system, allowing guards and administrators to track prisoners regardless of their physical condition or whether they possessed documents. The sequences varied by prisoner category and by period, expanding as the population swelled. The tattoos became a symbol of dehumanization. Instead of being recognized as individuals, inmates were reduced to numbers that streamlined camp administration while reinforcing the regime's systematic effort to erase personal identity. A digital ID is an electronic form of identity that allows a person to authenticate who they are through digital systems without relying on traditional physical documents like passports or driver's licenses. It typically combines verified personal information, such as name, date of birth, or biometrics, with technologies that allow governments, institutions, or private services to confirm that the digital identity truly belongs to the individual using it. Digital IDs can be used for accessing online services, and their design ranges from centralized government-issued systems to decentralized, user-controlled identity frameworks. Their core purpose is to provide a consistent method of identification. Digital IDs, like the tattooing system used in Nazi concentration camps, rely on assigning a unique identifier to each individual so they can be distinguished from others within a larger system. In both cases, the identifier functions as a reference point that connects a person to records held in an administrative system. Tattoo numbers linked prisoners to camp registries, while digital IDs link a user to verified digital information such as biometrics or service entitlements. Modern digital IDs are designed to operate through secure databases and cryptographic authentication rather than physical marking. Although public discussions about wearable digital tattoos and subdermal implants have explored how emerging technologies might make authentication, monitoring, and device interaction more seamless, digital tattoos typically refer to thin, flexible electronic patches applied to the skin that can measure biometrics, transmit data, or verify identity without the need for passwords or physical cards. Subdermal implants, such as an FC or RFID chips, have been experimented with by biohackers and a few companies as a way to unlock doors, store small bits of personal data, or interact with devices through short-range communication. These concepts raise debates about convenience, security, privacy, and ethics. Supporters highlight their potential for a frictionless access and medical benefit, while critics warn about surveillance, data misuse, and the blurring of boundaries between the body and technology. Digital ID systems, wearable digital tattoos, and subdermal implants all carry significant risks if placed under the control of authoritarian or abusive leadership. In the hands of a dictator like Adolf Hitler, technologies capable of uniquely identifying, tracking, or authenticating individuals could have enabled far more precise monitoring, enforcement, and social control. A regime with real-time access to personal data, location information, or biometric identifiers could restrict movement, target political opponents, segregate populations, or automate discrimination with unprecedented efficiency. What was once done through paper registries, physical documents, or manual surveillance could be executed instantly and invisibly. The danger is not inherent in the technologies themselves, but in the power imbalance they can create when citizens become fully dependent on systems managed by leaders who may weaponize that information. People often overlook how individuals with ulterior motives can present themselves in the most reassuring, gentle, or unthreatening ways, using calm tones and apparent goodwill to lower defenses. History shows that danger does not always arrive with noise or obvious hostility. Sometimes it comes quietly, wrapped in charm or promises. The ancient story of Troy captures this dynamic perfectly. The Greeks did not win the war through open force alone, but through a gift that seemed harmless, a wooden horse hiding soldiers within. The Trojans welcomed it inside their walls, unaware that the true threat was concealed behind a facade of peace. In much the same way, trusting appearances without questioning intent can leave people vulnerable to hidden agendas operating beneath a friendly exterior. If a politician or political party cannot consistently fulfill the promises that won them election, it raises serious doubts about their credibility on more complex or long-term initiatives, such as implementing digital ID systems. Digital ID involves vast amounts of sensitive personal data, security protocols, and ethical safeguards areas where broken promises could have real, tangible consequences. Trusting such leaders to responsibly manage or protect citizens' digital identities becomes precarious if their track record shows a pattern of overpromising and underdelivering. In essence, a history of failing to uphold even basic commitments casts a long shadow over their assurances regarding powerful technologies that could profoundly affect privacy, autonomy, and civil liberties. A person's character, values, and priorities can often be inferred by examining the company they keep, the relationships they maintain, and the groups or societies they participate in. Affiliations signal the networks they trust, the ideologies they engage with, and the influence they accept. For example, Klaus Schwab, founder of the World Economic Forum, came from a background tied to post-war German industrial and political networks. While he was not himself a Nazi, his father's associations with the Nazi regime contextualized the milieu in which Schwab was raised. Similarly, powerful figures such as David Rockefeller, through institutions like the Rockefeller Foundation and the Trilateral Commission, illustrate how membership in elite networks can shape global influence and policy. Testimonies from survivors like Onika Lucas allege personal harm to individuals within such circles, including her own claims of child sexual abuse from the age of 6 and witnessing extreme violence, such as the rape and murder of a disabled child by David Rockefeller. While such allegations are deeply disturbing and difficult to verify in detail, they underscore the importance of scrutinizing the networks and relationships of those in positions of immense power, as these associations can reveal underlying values, priorities, and potential risks in the agendas they pursue. This principle extends to modern political and social figures as well. For instance, the friendships and associations of individuals like Tony Blair with Jeffrey Epstein, Jimmy Savile, Lord Mountbatten, and Edward Heath to elite and often secretive networks, highlight how the company one keeps can shed light on potential moral and ethical compromises, and why public scrutiny of these connections remains vital.